Welcome. Oh, thank God it's yeah, it's still Friday. Got about 10 minutes left for it to be Friday. Welcome to the Midnight Express. This is our crossover show that happens every Friday as close to midnight as I feel like doing it. This is where we bring in Andre Nicotina from the Four Nerds fame. And then his if Brad finds his keyboard, he'll be here, and that'll be like the substitute nerd, the fifth nerd or the 4.5 nerd. He'll be in here. Tonight is open topic, so bring out all the band stuff. I'm pretty sure we're going to delve into it anyway. A couple of announcements. Tomorrow's show, like I said, I've been warning all week. I have a wrestling event that I will be going to, possibly 2 wrestling events over the weekend. So tomorrow's show is going to be static. I will still be doing a Saturday overnight live show. I just don't know what time it's going to start. Our next watch along will be Army of the Dead next Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. And we will that will be our fundraising show, or another one of our fundraising shows. Right now we are at let's see, I think we're still at 5250, and yeah, we're at 50. Let me go ahead and bring that up, because really like I said, now I will be making the new thumbnail and the new event. Yeah, so right now we are at $5,250. My goal by the end of next Saturday's stream is to be at an even 7. And the ultimate goal by April 19th, which is the release of Scargiver, then to be at an even 10. So we have not changed the internal code. Like I say, if you see it right now, you'll see that we have I've kept it at 5,000. So if you notice there, that little dot there, that little yellow dot, is the current goal. We've passed that by $250. So, like I said, next Saturday, I'm looking to get to about $7,000, and that should allow us to coast into April, little by little. Let me bring on the sort of guest of honor.
What's up?
How are you doing, man? Can everybody hear? Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
No, you sound great.
How are you doing, Andre?
You sound great. You look great. I'm just happy to be here. I just got off of work, so I'm stoked to do this. What's up? We got RJ in the chat. Everyone's here tonight. This is great. Droga's here. Hal Jordan's here. He's got his ring and his lantern. He's ready to go. But, dude, there was some crazy stuff that happened this week that I've been dying to talk to you guys about, and hopefully when Brad gets here as well. But, like, dude, I'm so stoked to see the news about Warner Brothers making a deal with Tom Cruise. Hey, when it comes to me, dude, anything Tom Cruise, I'm all for it, dude. I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan. I don't know about you, but I am. I love everything he does. I mean, growing up, him and Stallone and Schwarzenegger, they were like the biggest action stars. You know what I mean? Like they always came through with just some amazing movies. And man, I'm stoked to see what kind of original content they're going to come out with. But it's funny because they announced that, and then Paramount's like, oh, by the way, we're also going to be doing Top Gun 3. Boom.
Which to me was the bigger news. Well, like I said, he's basically
much bigger news. Oh yeah.
Yeah. From what I read, he's gonna, he's still gonna maintain his offices at Paramount. He's gonna be a Paramount guy. But all of these guys are like free agents. They can really do all of them. Nobody is exclusively contracted to a studio anymore, so they can do these things. Yeah. Like he can create original content for Warner Brothers at the same time. He can do MI 10, 20, 30, and he can give me a Top Gun 3, which by the time he needs to be a 2-star admiral. Like we were talking about it last night.
Well, but I like that even in Top Gun Maverick, they sort of addressed that. He's like, hey, look, you should be, I think he said what a 2-star admiral,
2-star admiral or a senator.
But I love that he was like, no, like I'm a pilot, and that's all I want to be, and I love that about his character. But my worry is that in Top Gun 3, he's gonna die. I mean, he practically died in this one. Somehow he lived.
Tom Cruise won't let any of his characters die. If you ever noticed,
they never die.
It's guaranteed. Ethan is not dying. Even he might, like I said, he does stunts that come closer to killing him than the neuroscience
absolutely.
Does.
I mean, I can't even think of a film. I'm sure there is, but
The Last Samurai. I don't even think he died then.
He didn't die at that one either. He was the last one alive.
Yeah,
and then he lived. I was like, what? They took him prisoner. You know what I mean? Like, what? How did that happen?
And he approves his own script, so yeah, he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's time for Hangman and Rooster and Phoenix and all that crew to be the Top Gun trainers, and then he basically takes the place of Warlock, the guy who brought him in, the black guy, the 2-star. I think that's where he needs to be, and the movie needs to be about him dealing with, letting go of the pilot seat and basically being something more important. I
don't know what they're going to do, because Top Gun Maverick, look, if you would have told me 4 years ago, hey, they're going to make a Top Gun Maverick movie, Top Gun Part 2, I would have been like, okay, what's it going to be about? They nailed that movie so well in terms of pacing, story, special effects, everything. They did such a good job with that movie, and like to bring everyone back to try to do it again. I'm excited for that. But how do you top Top Gun Maverick? I have a damn poster right here. That's how good of a movie it is. And how do you top that? I thought it was so good.
Tom Cruise. If it were anybody but Tom Cruise, or there's a certain handful of people that I think can do that. Tom Cruise is one of those people, because he turned down a lot of scripts for Top Gun Maverick.
I would imagine. I mean, it has to be the right script, and not even that, but like he got what's her name, Jennifer Connelly, to be his love interest. He didn't have to get he didn't have to cast, or they didn't have to cast a girl who was his age. They could have cast anybody, but no, they got somebody who was age appropriate, that the fans recognized and knew in Jennifer Connelly. It was perfect casting. Everyone in that film was perfect casting. You even had Ed Harris show up in the beginning. I'm like, dude, how'd they get that guy to show up? I mean, it was a phenomenal movie. I absolutely loved Top Gun Maverick. The first scene when he takes on the other pilots is such a good scene. And they're playing the Who in the background. It was just such an awesome scene. It was like, wow, how'd they do this? I absolutely adore that movie. If you can't tell,
I loved it. Like I said, it was a very intense movie. It was a very well done movie. It didn't need a lot to make it work. It was a basic story, and it centered on him, but it also brought some people in. So yeah, Tom Cruise is like we were talking before. That's a guy who doesn't age. He's pretty much immortal. So
I know, right?
He will do whatever he wants to do for quite a while. But yeah. And then a lot of people were asking about, well, does this mean there's going to be a merger? Neither way. I mean, it could, but it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily need to be one, because there's a lot of nuts and bolts that would have to happen. You got Warner Brothers debt hurts any stock that they merge with, so you have to be willing to take that pain if you are anybody. And it's not just the people wanting the merger; it's the stockholders who have to sign off on that. Your stock right now at Warner Brothers is not very high, and it hasn't.
Well, David Zaslav just sold off a bunch of his stock just recently. I was like, oh, come on, dude.
I think he's on his way out. I really do.
Oh, I think so. I think he's one of those guys that comes in, attempts to get the company in a position to be either profitable or, purchasable, sellable, and then he moves on. I mean, that's just all he's going to do.
Yeah. But the only thing about that is, like I said, that kind of instability keeps me here at my house when all these things are coming up. Oh, yeah. Because once again, if somebody else is in charge of Warner Brothers, that's a whole new world. So I want to wait and see, because I think it's going to be the next guy, the next David Zaslav, that ushers in and actually fixes Warner Brothers.
That saves the Snyderverse.
No, it saves Warner Brothers Discovery.
Yes, I absolutely. Like I said, I think David Zaslav is just trying to get this company into a position, and then wherever it goes from there, that's what the next guy will do.
Yeah, he's basically a placeholder, is what I call him.
Well, that, or he's the guy who buys the house that he demos the kitchen, he demos the living room, and does the remodeling, puts in the nice bathroom and the shower, and then he's like, okay, I can either stay here, guys, if we love the house, or if you want, you can sell it. Either way, I've done my job.
Problem I have with Zaslav is he's not the visionary that's needed. He deals with the dinosaur. All these studio heads are. All these studio heads are going to have to move on in order for the market to be what it's going to be. Because right now you have guys like Zaslav, you have guys that are running all these companies that are using old logic. They're using old Hollywood as the model going forward. There is no such thing as old Hollywood going forward. You have people like we were saying last night, the financial aspects of the average family dynamic. It demands that you abandon the dinosaur logic that everybody's got to go to the theater. We're not gonna invest in streaming and all this. That's bullshit. And any exec who says that to their people is basically lying to them, or their heads are so stuck in the 1990s that they can't see it. And like we were always saying, Keelar was right. People shit on Keelar because they couldn't comprehend what Keelar was doing. Keelar was right. And to be honest with you, the next person who actually writes Warner Brothers to an actually attractive company that actually, is not $29 billion in debt is going to be more like a Keelar than it is a Zaslav.
Oh, absolutely. And real quick, not to change the subject too much on you, but
there's no subject.
We're talking about Warner Bros. But I just put in the chat. I just want to say I'm about 20 subs away from 1,800. So if anyone hasn't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,800 as soon as I can. It's been a long time, but recently though, the past 3 months, I want to say, my channel has really begun to kind of take off, and also I've been putting more effort into it as well because I had to go through I was going through some personal stuff that took me away from it. But guys, I'm about 20 to 19 subs away from 1,800. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. I really appreciate everyone who does, and of course, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to Sci-Fi Center as well. But also,
forget the first part. We don't care. Why do we don't care about him getting to 2,000?
What are we talking about tonight?
I'm even here at what? Do I even have 340?
You're at 348, buddy. 348. You already eclipsed 340. I'll tell you that. You should be telling everyone who comes into your store, like, hey, make sure you subscribe to my channel.
Oh, they do. They scan I got them scanning there's a QR code and they just scan it and it takes them right to the channel.
That's perfect, dude. That's perfect.
Hand me your phone. Let me take care of this for you.
So you want us to unsubscribe? Okay, done and done. No, thanks, Caden. I appreciate that. It's funny because a lot of times when I tell people this kind of thing, this is what they do. They'll unsubscribe, like fuck them. But no, it means a lot. And then so this Sunday I have my other stream on my new channel, which is called Dre Area Sports, all about Bay Area sports. But really,
I get it, Dre.
Yeah, and so it focuses more on the Niners, and then it'll also do the Giants and Warriors as the year goes on. But we're doing our inaugural stream on Sunday with my brother and my brother-in-law, and we're going to be breaking down the NFL Wildcard Weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun, so definitely check that out. It'll also be streaming on my channel as well because I want to be able to, get the other channel going. But yeah, man. I just want to put that out there.
Cool. Top Gun 3 shouldn't have. Okay, so technically, your mandatory retirement age is 62, 63. You can get a waiver if you make certain rank, and you can get waivers. I mean, there's ways around that. That's why I expect to see him. It's usually in the Navy aviation. It's move up or move out. So I expect for him to be a 2-star admiral. I expect him
I think so.
Him to be in charge of the Top Gun program or the deputy commander. But he's going. That's to me is going to be the story. Is him having to make the adjustment of no longer being in the cockpit and no longer feeling that he has to run away from things. He always used that cockpit to deal with the guilt of goose, to deal with all these other things that he had to deal with. He doesn't have to do that. And part of the story that makes Top Gun Maverick so cool is that was resolved. That was resolved. He doesn't have to. He's able to let go. So I would like to see him move up and have to deal with the punk kids that like he was when he drove all those people crazy. RJ William, have a question. Any thoughts on Tony Khan's Twitter meltdown? I wish he would get the fuck off of Twitter. And General Hall, even though Tony might be right, I think, as well as other that made. I don't listen when it comes to I wish he would get off the Twitter because I don't think he needs to. I wish he would get off of Twitter. He needs to get WWE out of his head. It's easy. I do it all the time. I can't watch Raw without having to speed it through. I don't know how Tony sits through it.
Who's Tony
Jinder
Khan?
Mahal I'm sorry, Jinder Mahal he's a joke when it comes as far as like stature goes. But I don't need Tony Khan getting on there, even mentioning WWE. If I'm Tony Khan, I don't even bring it up. You have to understand he's got billions of dollars. His shows are doing fine. This Revolution show with Sting's last show it's pretty much sold out. He puts on a better wrestling product, even if you want to go with the storylines and the flash and the bullshit that WWE puts on a lot of times, and even they do a great job at certain things. But I speed through their product. I don't speed through an AEW program. Even Rampage, I watch it. He just needs to. He has a product. Somebody just needs to pull him down and say, "Dude, look at what you have here. You have Will Ospreay. You have Jay White. Will Ospreay turned WWE down. Jay White turned WWE down to come here. That's what you need to focus on. But on the flip side is, you know what? You got WWE Marks talking about AEW, so he's living." Whereas WWE lives rent-free inside his head for some reason. I don't know what the fuck for. He's living inside of WWE Mark's heads because they had their own meltdowns. But yeah, Tony Khan, dude, come on, man. I mean, stop being a wrestling fan. Just run the company, dude. So there you go there.
Who is Tony Khan? I don't even know who that is.
Tony Khan is the son of Jacksonville
Jaguars. That guy. Yes, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, he's a co-owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's not just a neppy baby. He actually runs a lot of the company. He actually ran parts of Jacksonville Jaguars. He owns and runs AEW. He does a lot of good stuff, but he gets triggered by bullshit. I'm like, dude, just watch Raw sometimes, and why are you wasting your time? You got all these people over here. You got people showing up in 5 years. What Tony Khan has done in 5 years. Every time somebody takes a shot at AEW, I'm like, 5 years. The company did not exist 6 years ago. Now they're selling out Wembley. They're on their way to selling out. Yeah, I mean, 83,000. I mean, 5 years.
Well, so it was a matter of time before. And look, I used to follow WWE years ago, but I mean, in reality, it was a matter of time before someone like AEW or is it AWE? AEW. Another competitor was able to kind of like grow to the point where it can compete with with the WWE. But it's been years since I've watched WWE, but I still love it though. It's has a special place in my heart.
There's some great performers. I just can't sit through the overall product anymore. I will stop at certain things. CM Punk. I'll stop at the women's matches are always good. Certain things that are on there.
Sorry guys. I had some kind of internet issue. Was really slowing me down pulling it up.
I
adjusted my name tonight to reflect that.
There you go.
All right, Anthony. Yes, a merger doesn't take financial capital. What a merger takes goodwill. I don't know if WBD will ever have goodwill. That's just here. But when you're talking about, it's just basically convincing. You're creating a new company, and you're getting either the gaining company or the company that's being merged, the smaller company, to basically buy in and merge those stocks. And then as a bonus, a new stock is created. So WBD did not exist as a stock before the merger of Warner Brothers and Discovery. So what happens is those people on both sides get an incentive of a brand new company. So they don't really need a lot of capital. It's not WB buying Paramount. That would be different. Like what happened with Disney and Fox. Disney purchased Fox, and they're still paying for that. Disney purchased, like, that's different. Then Disney had the capital at the time. Amazon could purchase them, but when you're talking about two companies like this, they're merging to basically create a better asset portfolio to either generate more revenue to increase the value of the stock, or make themselves more appealing for another company. And what Ray and we were saying last night is it's consolidation too, because once you merge a company, you have redundancy. You can cut the cost of both companies and make that more appealing to somebody wanting to buy it. And then everybody gets paid. So no, you don't really need goodwill. Listen, there's no winning when it comes to Warner Brothers. No matter what Warner Brothers Discovery does and DC Films does, they're gonna lose with half the audience anyway. So just fucking do what you want to do. What you're going to do. Don't worry about eventually the people who don't like it are going to come around, just like they did with the previous shit that it took them 10, 15 years. So, oh, this was good. Why didn't I go see it in the movie theater? Well, because you're a knucklehead and you listen to your fellow knuckleheads and they spent your money for you. But so,
pretty much, man,
they'll be fine. Warner Brothers will be fine. Like I said, I don't think we're in the Renaissance era of any of these studios. All these old dudes have to go. And I'm not being ageist. They're not the future. They don't look at
it's a matter of time before a lot of them end up either, retire or die. So I mean, eventually it's going to happen. But I mean, you have to hope that the next generation of executives, don't have their own, ulterior motives in terms of how they're going to run the business themselves. It could be even worse, as they move in. Who knows?
Well, whoever it is, even if their intention. I think it's going to be by default that they embrace this digital era. You just can't, you can't get up and lie to groups of people and be like, we're going to fill your cinemas and we're coming back to the movie. We're not going to invest in streaming anymore. You like I said, Zaslav got up in front of all these people here at Cinecon and fucking lied to them because there's no mathematical way that that's ever going to be true.
I mean, look, they're all going to put a ton of content on their streaming platforms, but I think that at the end of the day, they have to compete with one another. Obviously, I think Netflix probably owns the biggest market share when it comes to streaming because, I mean, everyone I know, well, they do, but at the same time, it's like they've the brand recognition and the things that they've done to retain their subscribers. They listen to their fans and they try to give their fans everything that they ask for. But when you look at a service like HBO Max, I mean, HBO Max you look at the content on there, it's incredible. They have a huge library of content, but unfortunately they don't have that market, that market recognition that the fans look at and say, Max, I have to get that. No. When anyone says you have to have one streaming service, it's either Netflix and then a close second would be Amazon. I mean, those two are the two most prevalent streaming services. And then you have the smaller guys like Paramount Plus and, which used to be CBS All Access, and Peacock. But those guys are starting to, attach themselves to other streamers. Like for instance, if you have Amazon, you can get Paramount Plus or Peacock and Showtime as a streaming channel within your Amazon account, which I thought was genius, by the way, because, I mean, it's only a matter of time before the Super Bowl is behind a paywall. The Super Bowl will be on a streaming service in the future.
I don't think that'll ever happen, man.
Because the thing is that
I just can't see it happen.
I don't see it in the near future, but I see it in the distant future that is going to happen. I mean, look, you have 2 games this weekend that are going to be on Peacock. On Peacock! Like, I don't have Peacock, but I know my father-in-law does. I'm going to use his password to watch those games.
Oh, go ahead and get that on air from Peacock's watching. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's like they're already starting that, where they're putting even football games, playoff games, that is, on a streaming service, which I think is crazy. But I'm used to the days where it's like I remember thinking man, I'm never gonna pay for fucking satellite TV, and then all of a sudden everybody had to have it. But then what happened? Now everyone's like, I'm not paying for that. I'm going to go streaming all the way through. And right now at home, that's all I do. And a lot of us do that. We don't even have. There was Brad.
Brad's internet.
None of us even have or a lot of people don't even have a cable television or satellite TV. A lot of people just do streaming only because it just makes more sense. Yeah, exactly. And I'm one of them.
Yeah, I'm almost there, but it's a write-off. Okay, first you're this. I don't, Joe. I don't know if you're trolling me or not. But the word scoop pretty much probably means that it's probably not true. I don't see James Gunn going anywhere anytime soon. The only way I could ever see James Gunn going is once again if a new owner takes over and has a different vision that doesn't include
Jack. Look at Jack Pierre. He's like 49ers are trash. Come on, man, get out of here.
These are your people from your side.
These are my people. Yeah,
these are not my people.
This is Jack. And then I don't know. It's up to you guys, but I mean, if you guys want to leave a super chat, I know that we still have to build up William's channel for that, but you could do it on my channel if you wanted to. That's up to you guys. But
wow, he's over with pimping the cash too, Brad.
well, I'm just saying, like, if somebody wanted to leave a super chat, like, blow up their comment, you could do it, but you can do it on my channel, unfortunately. But
he came into the Sci-Fi Center and with his own comic books and pop figures and said, "Hey, fuck that guy." I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, so but no, it's crazy. But Brad, we were talking about Tom Cruise earlier and about the deal he made with Warner Brothers.
Just before I managed to get on here.
Yeah, I was excited for that. I was like, dude, I want to see more Tom Cruise. Dude, he's one of my favorite actors, especially my favorite action.
Yeah, because he's always putting his neck on the line for however he can find how to do it.
Did you see when he broke his foot for Mission Impossible? Like,
yeah, when he was jumping across.
Yeah, he kept on going.
That's the most dangerous thing he does, dude. That was a light day for him. He hangs off of planes that are airborne.
Yeah, that one. It's like, I mean, I would have at least worn a parachute when he was just hanging off of the Cessna with one hand while it banks.
Yeah,
but yeah, the whole thing
has to be like $1 billion on that.
Well, I mean, it's probably because he's a producer and everything he does, so it's like he can, he's the guy who's like writing the checks for his own insurance.
Yeah, it's like who's going to insure Tom? Who needs to? All right, I think Coney-san is over his stuff with WWE. I agree, and arguing with haters online, it's very bizarre. It makes it, and most of these people who are that he's arguing with, I'm going to say it, are fucking morons. I have been a wrestling fan for 40 years. I understand what a mark is and how much oxygen they waste. I don't waste my time on them, and I'm not a $1 billion guy running a multi-million-dollar company. Some of these people he's interacting with fucking stooges. These people they're just there to trigger him, and I'm like, dude, you're running a company. Those people are ants to you. Step on them and go move on. Don't respond to Joe Nobody. You just made Joe Nobody's day by multi-billion-dollar Tony Khan running a successful wrestling company, even acknowledging that they fucking exist. And they're all WWE marks.
It looks like Hunter Iggy had a question for you that he's asking if you can answer. I'm trying to find it right now.
He said he had a question, but then he...
question. There it is.
That's in the. I thank you for your question, Hunter, but it's. How do I put this? Because Meg Donnelly was one of those Supergirl.
Yeah, she was one of the Supergirl.
Oh god, can we get off of this? The whole thing about it's like every time somebody famous follows somebody else famous on Instagram, that means something big is about to happen.
That's it. She's cast.
Yeah,
I mean, look, she voices the character in animation. And she's supposed to be auditioning for the role in live action as well. So a lot of people would say, well, he made that comment back in the day that he wants his actors to voice them in animation, play them in live action, and also voice them in video games. If that was the case, then yes, Meg Donnelly, I think, would have the upper hand. And so he followed her, but I mean, I don't know if that means that she's going to get the role, but I mean, hell, it's a good sign for her, but she voices the character in animation, so that could be a good reason why he's following her.
Yeah, but I mean, every other minute I see like some headline on Twitter. It's like such and such follows or unfollows somebody on Instagram, and that means that something is the unfollow.
Do you guys remember when what's his name, Joe Manganiello changed his profile picture to the picture from Zack Snyder's Justice League, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!" Or he recently just posted a Lego version or a Lego figure of Deathstroke, and everyone's like, "What does that mean?" I don't know. It just means that he
I think that even that I think that has more significance. It's just people just following or unfollowing each other.
Yeah, it's true.
But to answer your question, Hunter Iggy, I'm gonna say the same thing, and thank you for the question. I appreciate it. At this far away from the game, and this is not a slight, I just don't have the passion for this right now. I just don't care about it 19 months away, 20 months away. I just don't care, and they haven't given me a lifeline to care. Dropping names and hints and scoops and all this kind of stuff, it just makes me want to distance myself even more, because it's nothing until 19 months away from now. Him following her, great, but like I said, when it comes to casting, the things I care about the least when it comes to these movies are casting, because most of them are people I don't know who they are. I didn't know who David Cornsweet was prior to this. I knew who Rachel Brosnan is, but I'm never going to watch anything that she's in. And all these other people, I don't know who they are. I didn't know who this woman was because I don't watch the cartoons. So
and plus, we read off on the show there, night James Gunn, when he put out the the comment on threads about, oh yeah, it's weird or it's tough when you've got, rumors and speculation, just running all over the place but there's got like a kernel of truth to it. So, but you don't want to give away too much. So it's like, what do I do? Do I either debunk the part that's not true? But so we read all that off. So, and that came within a day of this whole thing about screen testing. So I think people could probably put 2 and 2 together on like what, and I think, it might even extend beyond that. It might be that plus other, rumors or, speculation or this or that relating to what he's got going. But again, the Instagram following who's doing this anyway? Who's like monitoring like Instagram, Facebook, or Instagram profiles of famous people? Like how is somebody just crouched over their keyboard constantly and able to like pinpoint the exact moment people follow each other or they unfollow each other? I don't understand that.
Yeah, fun. This is what I've been saying for quite a while, and anybody that doesn't think this is a possibility is wishful thinking, because it happens in every walk of life. Your job, a sports team, a corporation, when a new boss comes into town, their egos want their people. They want to shape their vision. They want everything to look, feel, and talk and move like them. This is a very real possibility. That's why when I say that, okay, he's got a 4-year contract or whatever, it only takes a difference of personalities to have a different outlook about what they want to do going forward, and that guy makes that change. I mean, how many great coaches, Andre, you're a sports guy, I'm a sports guy, how many really good coaches got fucked because a new owner or a new general manager take over and they want their buddy coming in because they got a different scheme that they want to? There's nothing wrong with that coach, but
it's absolutely
it's the entire reason we have going from Cavill to Superman or Cavill to Corn Sweat to Superman. That's the entire reason for it.
Right, exactly. So, and that's the whole reason behind, when you had people out there saying that, oh, David Zaslav is going to restore the Snyderverse and all this stuff. It's kind of like, dude, you have to understand when somebody, when a new owner, you could say, or, someone in charge takes over, they want to do their own thing. And,
you've been watching my channel too long because we don't get it.
Thank you, Axel, for the $2 Australian super chat.
Half of that goes to the Sci-Fi Center. I'll be sending you. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my fuck, damn it!
I'll send it to you. Western Union.
Bitcoin me.
Remember that used to be a big thing. Was Western Union? Remember that? Like, that was how you sent money. Yeah, that's how you sent money to other people. And now it's like
Venmo.
Now it's like I don't even know if it exists anymore. If I got something through Western Union, I'd be like, okay, this is a scam. You know what I mean? It was crazy. But like,
hey, listen. AEW is a successful wrestling company, and for being around with the as much time, they're on a major TV network. Even if they're on a major TV every day, they have pay-per-views. I was at a show here in Vegas, which is doing well. Wembley is huge. No matter what you want to spend those numbers, I watched that show. There's a lot of people in that show, and they're probably they're on their way.
If you can pack Wembley Stadium, you're doing something right.
Yeah. So, like I said,
don't just pack that just for anything. Like if we did a stream there, there'd be it wouldn't be packed.
It does need to get the hell.
Was RG?
He's saying about the whole following and unfollowing.
Yeah, it says I don't get either. I don't get actually. Yeah, it is. It's
very creepy in a way.
It is like, creepy because
the only way I could see to do that is to have to spend like every day, like go through like, okay, pull up James Gunn, pull up his Instagram or pull up his threads or whatever, and just comb through. Okay, here's everybody he was following yesterday. Here's everybody he's following today. Here's everybody he's following 2 days ago. It's what the hell? Don't people?
Yeah.
I mean, there just aren't enough hours in the day for me to like dive into something like that.
It's crazy.
When we have Andre on, there's no ban list, so yeah. But we've been.
This is the Friday night. We take down the ban list, but no, it's crazy to think about. Like, people literally follow other people and who they follow. Like, oh, he's following this person, he's following that person. I know Caden said earlier that James Gunn wasn't even following Meg Donnelly, so I don't even know if it's true or not.
According to Caden, she's not. Anthony, keep an eye on Paramount in the next couple of years. They are making a major push when it comes to Transformers and G.I. Joe. You might, if you saw the last movie,
yes,
it's fairly decent. That got a huge pop. That got the loudest pop of the whole movie was when that guy had.
Oh yeah.
So be on the lookout for something like that.
RG says
he was in the Winchesters and prequel series to Supernatural, which I never ever watched. So.
Yeah, he asked me.
Yes, Sunday night after I do Riot Wrestling with it.
I saw it last night. It kicks all the ass you expect it to kick. So, and
I'm automatically going to go see
the Beekeeper.
Oh, was it good?
Oh yeah, that's like this is one of his best in years. I mean, this is this is Statham at his Stathamest.
Because I was a little worried that it might be a little corny or might be a little cliche because it's an action with Statham, and I was like, okay, I don't know what direction it's going to go into, but I'm glad to hear that it was good. I want to see it.
Yeah, and especially because again, it's January. It's like you don't associate like I mean, again, this is something, and William pointed out, it's like it's probably because the summer's so bad, but it's like this is something you would more expect like May or June or something. But yeah, I had an absolute blast with it.
Because of the strike, everything is. There's going to be a lot of movies that are going to be feeding off each other.
Yeah,
you are doing three movies. Yeah. Fourth already has Gun out on his way. Like I said, the only way I see that happening, like I said, but this is a very good possibility if they do merge, or say Amazon purchases them, or Apple says, you know what, we're going to buy you in this consolidated company, but we think we can do a lot more with these IPs and all of you guys combined, and we got our guy in there. And like I said, nobody wants to inherit somebody else's guy. And right now you have a company that is 50-50 odds could be another company within the next 18 months. There's very real. It's not a joke. It's very real that Warner Brothers could be merged or be purchased, and your chain of command could change. And if the chain of command changes, then the circumstances change. Yeah. But because
Andre, I don't know if you'd heard it. I'd made the comment a couple times on the last few shows. I said I find it hilarious if something like this happens and then Zaslav leaves and then Jason Kylar comes back.
Oh yeah, I don't think he'll come back. I think he's like, yeah, I'm good, but
it'll be a step down because
at the same time though, it's like this idea that people to say James Gunn won't make it past the third movie or won't make it past Superman Legacy. We've talked about this before, even right here on the crossover stream on the Sci-Fi Center. We've talked about this topic before, and the thing is you got to remember that this guy, like James Gunn and Peter Safran, are not going to sign a contract without guarantee that a certain number of projects or productions will happen. You know what I mean? He didn't just sign his contract and say, yeah, so this is my 10-year plan, but I know that you can pull the plug at any minute. No, he's probably like, no. No,
I don't think he did, to be honest with you. Here's why. It's not his end of things that would control that. And I don't see Zaslav extending something like that to them without kind of results because of the fluid nature of the company right now. He doesn't know if he's going to be around, and something like that is something you really can't. And even if he did, like I said, Amazon could buy it out, no problem. Amazon could buy out a Soros system.
By the way, we got some news from Droga here. Zack Snyder just fired following Andre.
There we go. See,
so say for instance they did sign this contract, that would mean nothing to Amazon. That would mean absolutely nothing. They would get bought out. They would get compensated, and they would get their money, and Amazon wouldn't miss it. They would shake the money out of their shoe, and that would be it. And they would put their person in. So there would be no lawsuit. There would be no anything because you wouldn't have cause.
I think no matter what, if for any reason this company gets sold or somebody else comes into power over Warner Brothers, unless James Gunn's movies were absolutely atrocious and were just complete flops, which I don't think they're going to be, but like just absolute flops.
One of them is gonna hurt, but the ones afterwards might be the better one. But here's the thing, though. To a gaining company, that doesn't mean anything to them.
What?
Just like I told you, the coach that the new guy got rid of was a fine coach, but he doesn't fit the vision of the new ownership and the new general manager. It doesn't matter how good the movie is or how good it financially even does for them. This is all about vision and legacy. Well, the new guy is going to want to do things his way and establish his legacy. It's not going to matter, what kind of money the other one does. Everybody who takes over for the last guy thinks that they can do better than the last guy.
Well, William, you even kind of got to that. You talked a little bit about when Black Adam was coming out, where it's like you said they weren't really like everything that happened. That whole situation is like nothing was really contingent as far as like its commercial performance. He said yes, like they were already like lining up like big time, plans and such, and that was things like they were sharing or giving as much as they could, to you on conference calls and things like that.
Yeah, and it's about their vision, because right now monetarily they inherited Black Adam, so it's about their vision going forward. And there's, like I said, if somebody else comes in, they're going to want to put their stamp on it. They're not going to want to inherit somebody else. So it's Legacy. Let's say Legacy can make a good amount of money, and whatever 2 movies come after that can make. It's not going to matter if the new sheriff wants a new layout, then the new sheriff gets the new layout, and it's that's what bothers me about this, is because I don't know where this company is going to be in that amount of time, and I have no illusions that if somebody comes in, if I enjoy these first 2 movies, these 3 movies, by the time a new sheriff comes in, here I am again, sounding like Whitesnake. Here I am again on my own, because I fell for it again. I invested my time, I invested my money, and now here's a new guy with a new this, a new that, and it's just like I said, I'm not willing to do that marathon again. So,
Aaron Assa, who is
I have no idea. These guys told me
who's it's Mick Donnelly, but I mean Mick Donnelly is close enough.
In the the reporting the other day, she was one of the actresses who was rumored to be screen testing for Supergirl. But again, like we pointed out, James Gunn went on Threads and said, yeah, there's all kinds of like rumors out there with nuggets of truth, and I'm kind of in a tight spot, because it's like, do I debunk it full stop? Do I say, okay, here's the parts that aren't true, but everything else is? And so, but again, the fact that came so soon after that, again, it's pretty hard to deny that it's not related to that. But I mean, he also says, yeah, there's components of truth to it. So, take that what you will too. But, he's like one thing I mentioned to William last night is that is something Gunn has kind of mentioned a lot, is that a lot of the reporting and rumor and such out there, he's used the word half truth a lot with a lot of things. He said, so that indicates it's like, okay, there is, you hear that, such and such is attached to something, or something might be in the works. And it's like, yeah, it's like there's maybe discussion about that, but it's not hard moving on it, or maybe it's a possibility in the future. But, and like William said, the industry is fluid, and this particular studio is certainly fluid.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who can hope this all works out. There's a lot of people that can wish, but nobody can look me in the face without me laughing at them and them keeping a straight face and tell me that is not a better than possible risk, that we could be sitting here before this all reaches any type of conclusion, talking about another beginning, another start. And if like I said, you can wish and hope. That's what fanboys are allowed to do. But if you've been paying attention the last 10 years, you can't dismiss the fact that this company is in the position that it's in, and you've got a guy who's basically did his part. He merged with WBD. He could be on his way out for a multitude of reasons. And like I said, the new guy is not necessarily going to inherit. It doesn't matter. He could love James Gunn. Hell, he could be fucking James Gunn's cousin or something like that. It's not going to matter. His vision, he's going to be like, I'm in the captain's chair now. This is what I want to do with this. Everybody who takes that position does the same thing. Everybody who takes a position at a new management comes in at Walmart. Guess what? We're not going to stack the boxes that way before. We're going to undo that. You built those shelves a couple of weeks ago for the shoes. That's not how I do it. I want you to do it this way. Mike, you go from middle management all the way up to corporate management. The new dude always thinks, or the gal always think that they can do something better than the last guy.
Of course.
did.
I mean that's what they're hired for.
Yeah. So I'm going to be like, okay, so when the new dude does come in, and we're probably going to get him, I want to see how the new dude takes all this stuff. Or girl, I'm sorry, you could be a gal. If they come in and they're like, you know what, I think he's doing a splendid job. We'll just keep this rolling. Show me where that's happened before, though. And you have the entire to show me where,
That's exactly.
Chapek.
Yeah. Well, I remember that's what you were saying a lot on Poindexter Lounge. As the merger was happening, when there was the whole fandom tug of war between like, oh no, he's totally gonna keep Hamada and Emmerich.
Hamada's gonna stay around forever. Sarnoff and Emmerich are gonna be there. They're doing a great job.
And not only did Hamada get shown the door, I mean, he probably got booted out of there harder than anybody.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but like the plan that he had in place. they didn't like it. I mean, DeLuca and Abney didn't really care for his plan, and they immediately made.
If you want to call it a plan,
yeah, they immediately made changes to it, and and I'm not saying the changes that they made were going to be successful or not. I'm just saying in the grand scheme of things, they were not impressed with what he had set up, and they were beginning to make changes to it before James Gunn came in and said, I knew that was coming. Before James Gunn eventually came in and said, no, I'm not doing any of that. I'm doing my own thing, which was really weird that, like, DeLuca and Abney would come in and start making all these changes to whatever they had in place, start filming new endings to movies and all this shit, get Cavill to come back and the Flash and all that. And all of a sudden here comes James Gunn and he's like, yeah, we're not doing any of that. Sorry.
That's 100% on Zaslav.
That's
100% on Zaslav.
Absolutely. If this is the guy you want to run your studio, and yet you're letting them make these decisions before he even comes into power. I mean, that's like saying the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Well, there should have been full communication about all that.
What should have happened is, like I said, so this didn't end sloppy and look like shit and have people not even have faith that you can even do in these movies anymore, is you should have given him his point. His starting point is here. Their ending point is here. Now you sit down on a big table and you coordinate the launch of his thing and the incredible ending of this thing. Otherwise, they look stupid when they did that. And a lot of the heat, they came out with, it just looked sloppy. It looked like you had a bunch of multi-million-dollar people that couldn't communicate and they couldn't get something going.
Exactly.
You had all this information and shit going off, and I'm like, the
one that gets me is like, telling. Again on the DeLuca and ad, the end, it's like bringing Cavill back and filming the Black Adam cameo and the Flash cameo at the same time that how's it going, Daniel? At the same time that Zaslav is 6 months prior told James Gunn to get cracking on a Superman script that's unrelated to Cavill. So it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
well, and there you go.
DeLuca and Abney were doing what they were supposed to be doing. James Gunn was doing what he was told he was supposed to be doing, but you had the one guy with all the information not giving anybody the heads up, and it just looked bad.
It looked unorganized again, and it didn't give a lot of, I would say, the hardcore fans. It didn't give them much confidence in what they were doing, because it was kind of like, wait, why would you have them do all this? Why would you have Henry Cavill, make this post about him coming back, and then only to find out that was never in James Gunn's plan? It's kind of crazy to think about. And people blame James Gunn for all that. And the thing that I look at is that, just like you said a little while ago, whenever somebody comes into power, they want to do their own thing. They want to make their own legacy. And it's no pun against Superman legacy, but they want to do their own thing. And I think that when you look at where the DCEU was at and what, changes that were being made by DeLuca and Abney with Black Adam, with the Flash and all this stuff, I think in a way it almost forced James Gunn's hand, because he said, wait a minute, if I don't come out and say this and say that I'm doing my own thing and this is my slate, then it almost kind of looks like, okay, so if I don't say anything, you guys are going to think we're doing that.
Well, he shouldn't have been the one to say it. Once again, he's an employee. James Gunn is an employee.
He is an employee, but I felt like he had to make that announcement.
He had no position to do that. He is an employee. He is a boss.
But
he can be. Here's the thing: Warner Brothers studio head and CEO. The CEO has everything in front of him. He has all the information in front of him. He's the one who should have been communicating to them what's going on. I shouldn't have been hearing from James Gunn about his slate until David Zaslav, the boss, not the employee, had a plan in place to deliver this so that it's cohesive and not stupid. I shouldn't have been hearing from James Gunn countering anybody. I shouldn't have been hearing from Abney and DeLuca about countering anybody. This should have been all laid out. You sit down, you map out, how are we going to do this? You don't say shit until I tell you to say shit, because you work for me. I signed 100%.
But the problem is that like that structure was not in place, and so these things happen. And look, all I'm saying is that it wouldn't surprise me if James Gunn made that announcement about his slate, Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters, is because of the fact that if he hadn't have done that, everyone would be thinking, okay, so now we're gonna see Shazam joining the JSA, and now we're gonna have this and we're gonna have that. It wouldn't have made any sense.
But that's not his role. Like I said, my employee.
That is he's the president of DC Studios.
No, he's an employee.
Yeah, but he's still the co-president of DC Studios. But he has to be able to control everything.
But once again, he didn't have a plan in place. He's been giving us cryptic stuff. Like I said, employees don't talk over the boss. That's how they become, that's when things get fucked up.
The whole thing in general was such a mess when he took over it. Like the way it all kind of shake down, it didn't really make much sense. I mean, Brad, over on your end, with your contacts at Screen Rant, I mean, what were they saying when he came into power and all of a sudden, made this announcement about his new, Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters? I mean, what was the feedback you were getting there?
Are you asking if I had my ear to the ground or anything? Because
I'm just saying, like, are there other people that you were talking to from Screen Rant in terms of like kind of the back and forth conversation about what's really going on? Because I mean, it was a pretty crazy.
I remember like if you're talking about like, it probably should take a little bit back to when the infamous December Cavill news happened. That was really
that was like
the pinpoint of it. That was a real like. I mean, that was definitely a real shock because I mean, there was it spent 2 months prior talking about okay, he's back, and now here's where we think this is all going. So, I can't speak for other or writers or anyone in editorial or really even and at other outlets either. But I mean, I did always get the sense that it's even people who were probably really big fans of what James Gunn had done in general with Guardians of Marvel and with the Suicide Squad, there was still, probably a sense of like, there was definitely a sense of exhaustion. There's definitely a sense of it's like, which like you just pull the rug out from under us on this, and so now it's like, again, I think people who were really into what Gunn had done with Guardians and Suicide Squad, I think they were more so inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt on this, just out of the goodwill they had towards him. But again, that's that's not everybody. So yeah, it's not really. I can't really say like people like think of the whole thing as a monolith. But
when the employees move and speak out of turn, Kevin Feige is, for the godlike powers he has, he's an employee. He answers. For a time, he answered to Chapek, unfortunately, but he answers to Bob Iger. Bob Iger sets the stage for you. He sets up the stage that you're about to step on. I didn't need, and that was the one, when I say that I don't like how this began, I shouldn't have heard shit from James Gunn at that point until they all had sat in a big office together over a steak and said, this is going to go here, this is going to go here, this is going to go here. Because him doing that really started the avalanche that he's unfairly now dealing with today. He should not have done that, to be honest.
And sending three, of course, and I think most of people agree, sending 3 DC movies out to die in 2023, and one of them out to just do okay when it's the sequel to the biggest one ever made. And by the way, I'm going to bring this up real quick because this flashed across my Twitter, and
James Gunn's intention. Until you had a consolidated message to put out, he shouldn't have done it. It shouldn't have happened. And because that happened, it was costly.
Yeah,
to the beginning of his credibility, and it was costly money-wise. Those movies got torpedoed, man.
Yeah, well, Aquaman too, of course. I mean, that's done the best out of all. Again, I think partly through the holiday season, partly also being the Aquaman sequel. But again, it didn't do anything like what the first one did. But I did want to ask. Yeah, but Andre, I know William has. Have you seen Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom, Andre?
Yes.
Okay, so I saw that this came across on my Twitter feed, and this isn't really the thing I'm focused on here. It's just about her, Nicole Kidman's suit on that, that AMC ad we've all seen 800,000 times now. But did they play the ad before you saw Aquaman 2?
I don't remember if they did.
Yeah, because my showing, it was the first time in probably 2 years they've played a movie that did not have her in front of it, and of course it's like, oh, I mean, of all the ones you could pick. So,
yeah, but all in all,
I just found that funny.
It's being auctioned off. That's crazy.
Well, she's got $1 billion.
Yeah.
Once again, I think that part is further enough into the past that I don't think Gunn still has to like pay for it over and over again. But it was the wrong decision. The way it happened, the way it began, was wrong. He should not have come out and said that. He should not. No one should have said shit until they knew what the fuck they were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the problem that they had. But
employee, I mean, you don't talk until employer says something. And if employer wants to stick his foot in his mouth, let the multi-billion-dollar CEO take that heat.
I just don't get why he made that announcement when he did, because I mean, realistically, all he had to do was say, okay, look, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put the Flash, that's gonna come out after, that's gonna be the last one to come out. And that is gonna end with the DCU getting reset. And that's it.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what should have happened. I don't mean to interrupt you because
No, go ahead.
I'll forget my thought. What should have happened? James Gunn's here. He's at this part of the table. DeLuca Nappi, he's at this part of the table. James Gunn, you're going to have your own thing. That's your job, is to start your thing from scratch. You guys that were here before, your job is to end that thing.
It's to put a bow on it. And Williams always said, put a bow on it with Kingdom Come.
Not continue it, not drag it on. Your job is to end this. Your job is to begin this. You two get back to me in a couple weeks with your plan to do that. James Gunn should have had zero to do with the movies that were not his. That really fucked him in a lot of ways, I think. I think that put a lot of weight on him. He should have had no decision making as far as the movies that were in the can or any scenes deleted. He should have had nothing to do. That heat should have been on somebody else. And then whatever he does is on him. But whatever was there when he got there should have not been his to touch for the benefit of him as well. So because that's another misstep. He's getting blamed for that because Zaslav let him do it. Zaslav should have said, you know what, James, you're a DC head. You and Zaffron, bam, here you go. So from this point on, this is all yours. Have at it. This is beautiful. You two, head of Warner Brothers Pictures. You guys, you in this. You work with him. You coordinate with him. You guys do your little knitting needles. You end this once and for all. You begin this.
When I even thought it's like, there's a way they could have even had them both happen harmoniously. I mean, with the Flash, it's like, it's because it's the multiverse movie. I mean, it's just tool it however you need to. Just say with the ending, oh, by the way, now he's skipped over into what is going to be Gunn's universe. But it's like this original universe is right here. This one's right here, and now we've like we use we use this movie as a bridge between these worlds. And that doesn't require anything, but maybe like filming like 1 or 2 extra scenes.
Yeah, that way there was a lot of things they could have done, but
James Gunn doesn't have to deal with that stuff. His universe is distinct. It begins when he starts it. He does not inherit anything. And these other people, they wrap it up. They wrap it up, and they what they would have done then. What they would have done then is they could have used those movies instead of leaving them for roadkill. They could have actually used those movies as a lead into what he's doing, because people don't want to have their time wasted.
And then you could have done like a real Crisis on Infinite Earths, unlike the bullshit version Hamada was planning.
I think that my suspicion is that they probably realized at some point that Aquaman was not going to be done in time. I think the timing of everything was an issue, and
they control the timing though, RJ.
But that's why I don't get. I don't. I mean, they could have even released Blue Beetle in the summertime, and then led to Aquaman, and then coming up this May, they could have released the Flash, which could have ended things.
Yep.
But I think maybe the Flash. I mean, look, that would have meant the Flash would have been in hiatus for what?
For
like 2.5
7 years? Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I mean, that's kind of crazy, but I would think
was losing a lot of money.
But that is, again, the Flash was the one movie out of all the ones that came out, recently from DC.
What's the one they clearly had the most faith in?
Well, they had the most faith in, but at the same time, it had the most hype in terms of what was going to happen, with the, in terms of like the hardcore fans, everyone wants to know what was going to happen. Is it going to restore something? Is it going to lead to something new? Like what's going on? It's got, a Gal Gadot's going to be in it. Ben Affleck's going to be in it, so it had a lot going for it with, I think, a lot of the hardcore fans. And unfortunately it just, when it finally came out, it
came out in a way where it had the rug had been pulled out from under it.
Like I said, we're dealing with adults who are skilled professionals at what they're supposed to be doing. Here's the thing: the rush to reboot was a critical era because you still had these movies released, and if you know something's coming and you know something's ending, do you want to just have a customer drop off? No, let's get people, and at the end, and here's what I would have waited. I would have waited as much time as you needed to wait, because you could have really created a bridge in between the Flash and Legacy by waiting until you had, have your guy casted, and have, when it's all rolls up, your post-credit scene is these people that you've casted coming out, and and all while you see these other universes dissipate. And Superman's looking up at the sky.
They could have done a lot of cool things, really cool things. I mean, look.
Yeah, it's the story of our lives as DC fans, telling them you guys could have done a lot of cool things.
They done so many cool things. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's like, let's say the film comes out, like, were to come out later this year, right? They push it to 2024. You could have had, instead of George Clooney, you could have had the new actor who's going to be playing Batman.
The Brave and the Bold Batman.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're like, who's that? You know what I mean?
And then, by the way, you have that new actor that's playing him, and then you have Flash run back, and you don't see him again. What that does, not only that allows James Gunn Clay. He can go forward whatever he wants to, but we never know with the Flash gun, and he's going to have a Flash eventually. And so, there's just so many things.
I don't think personally, I don't think he's going to be using Ezra Miller. I think
but that's your chance to get a new Flash, because it's
right.
But okay, here's my storyline, and here's my geek coming out. So basically, Darkseid is a threat to the multiverse.
Yeah,
every version of the reality, the apocalypse exists out of that. So you could have written into the Flash that at some point, every Flash and every alternate universe comes to the same conclusion that they have to continue to come back in time to stop this from happening. And what ends up happening is they all meet, and they all do it again, and they all rip themselves apart. And at the time before, Darkseid would come in. So that universe is gone. So the starting point of the new universe is James Gunn, but and with a new Flash, because they would have all converged and consolidated.
And of course, one of those berries turns into the lightning bolt that struck him.
Something like that. But that's your new Flash.
It was it was not the smoothest transition you could have
delicately.
Predicted. Yeah, I mean, like,
and you know what I would have done? That Flash that comes in, and so after he goes back, he sees that's not my Batman. He comes back. Guess who it is? It's whoever you've casted for that Flash. So the end of the Flash with Ezra Miller ends with the Flash, James Gunn's Flash. And
then you say it's like Ezra Barry says, "Oh shit, I took a wrong turn in the Chrono Bowl. I got to get back home," and then zooms off. But now you've established, that other Batman, that other universe.
Yeah, but now you have that universe ending. While this new one, you see Superman there. Now you're excited. Now I don't have to wait 2 years to hear people scoopers and rumor people and be like, "Oh, we're gonna somebody unfriended James Gunn and MySpace."
I think that at the end of the Flash, you could have had it end with look at it this way. You could have had it end with Clooney, right? Whatever. But the whole tooth falling out, no. Instead, it should have I felt like at the end of it, he should have been in his suit. And, he basically is going to go set a new flashpoint. And then when he takes off into the Speed Force, it just fades to white. And then that way, basically
the Apocalypse War ending.
Yeah, exactly. Just
that would have been acceptable.
I mean,
that would have been fine.
Like, they could have had the ending they had and had an end credit scene where George Clooney's talking to him saying, "So what happens when you do this?"
How's it going, Bradley?
And he could say, "I don't know. I'm going to find out, but I have to try. And then when he takes off, then like, okay, so next time you see his characters, it'll be in the new universe.
By the way, Wayne, what you were saying earlier, because I did want to ask this real quick. I'm going to bring up one of Anthony's questions because it relates to some other.
By the way, Hal Jordan, before you go, Hal Jordan, that's fine. He should have, but
yes,
he shouldn't. The person,
but not to the detriment of
that happened.
Yeah, it was like way too much. It was like, whoa, calm down. Can we at least finish out the DCU before you announce your new chapter? And that's the thing too, is that the projects that he announced, to me, like, look, I'm interested because I'm a fan, but they were not big enough projects that were like, whoa, we're gonna get that. That's crazy. It was like, no, it was kind of like, okay, that seems kind of cool. I want to see that, but it wasn't mind blowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
When we first saw, like the BVS trailer, I mean, that was mind blowing. It was like, wow, here we go. We're diving into a new universe.
God, they are gonna have to work so damn hard to generate a hype like that again.
Yeah,
we'll worry about that after back because you're gonna forget.
You were talking about kind of the clusterfuck that happened between. It's like, okay, Abdi and DeLuca are doing this, Gunn's doing this. Both of them are getting mixed messages from Zaslav, and it leads to what happened in December 2022. I was kind of wondering, do you think maybe that that's maybe something similar led to, or maybe this was a byproduct of something similar? Because when of course we had AT&T owning Warner Brothers, and I mean, of course they were. I mean, it's fair to say they were far more behind the Snyder Cut being released, and probably any potential continuation thereof than WB themselves were. Do you think that maybe when we got that the Ann Sarnoff interview 4 days after it came out, was there maybe could that have been like something where it's like, okay, one side of the studio is saying we want to do this, another side's doing this, and they're
okay. So when it came to the Snyder Cut, you had their bosses, AT&T, told them this is what you're doing, and that they had no choice. They didn't want to do it, and you can see why they didn't want to do it. With the Zaslav situation, it was just disorganization. It was just this is not Discovery. This is a whole new different animal of organization. This is where there was malice at a certain level, the subordinate level, which was Warner Brothers to AT&T at that time. I don't think there was malice here. This was disorganization. It's just up to the guy, the boss, not the employees, the boss, to lay out the plan. You begin here and you begin here. I think everybody, and this is the sad thing, everybody involved, whether it be Abdi, DeLuca, and Gunn, I don't think anybody had any malice. There just wasn't any leadership. I mean, and that's when you can tell an employee is an employee and then the boss is a boss. When an employee fucks up, yeah, it can cause some issues. But when the boss doesn't communicate, that's a problem. The boss had to communicate that to them, and he lays this out. James Gunn, here's what we wanted you to do. Abdi, DeLuca, here's what we want you to do. That's a conversation, and then from that point on, James Gunn is not being looked at as an interloper in the movies that he really had nothing to do with. He doesn't have to take the blame for some shit. Like I said, some of the stuff he's taking the blame for has been absolutely ludicrous. But when you look how the genesis of this began, it's hard to dismiss it all. But like I said, I think as the time goes on, I just hope they get better. I hope the next boss communicates what he wants to. Says this is where you begin and this is where we end. That's it. That's all it would have taken. I mean, we're fans. We're not sitting in corner offices of multi-billion-dollar companies, and we could have figured this out. You got the guy with the IP. And the problem is, if James Gunn had been in David Zaslav's shoes and he'd been the CEO of Warner Brothers, I think he would have had a better outcome because James Gunn has a better understanding of how these IPs work and how things begin and end. He's actually come with that.
None of it made any sense the way it went down. But, I mean, we are where we are now. We just have to move forward and hope that what he produces is actually good. And I think it will be. But like I said, a lot of it hinges on how good Superman Legacy is. I don't think that if Legacy, I mean, in order for him to be in the hot seat, Legacy would have to seriously bomb, which I don't think will happen. I
don't think it'll make great money. I think it'll make a good money. And like I always say, it depends on what kind of conversation David Zaslav had with the financiers and the stockholders and the shareholders.
Yeah. I'll go back and replay your answer there later.
Okay. If he had an honest conversation like, hey guys, we're going to take this one in the nads, but I believe in where we're going. Here's our plan. Here's everything that's going on. And then the stockholders are like, you know what, dude, we're on board with that. So when Superman Legacy comes out and does 400 million or 500 million, we're not sitting with a bunch of stockholders saying, "Wait, didn't make $1 billion." We're not dealing with that. Now, if he had the CinemaCon conversation to where he took those poor hungry wolves that needed people filling their theaters and told them everything was going to be okay conversation, we might have a problem. But it all depends on what kind of conversation. And then once again, if a new sheriff does come in town, which is a very real possibility, it won't matter how good these movies do. That guy's not going to care. He's going to congratulate. He's going to thank everybody involved. But he wants to be that guy who makes those movies. That's
of
ego.
Course,
and I'm not saying he's right, but that's
they all have egos, and it's at the end of the day, it's like, look, I just want to see the content about the characters I like, and hopefully it's good.
I really don't care about Superman Legacy. I know it's an important part. I'm not going to root against it. I'm not going to talk it down. But the more I hear about Superman Legacy, you're starting to give me those characters, and I'm sorry, I may be in the wrong, but I'm getting that JLI feeling again. And it's like, oh shit. And I look over, and I realize my history with JLI and basically a quarter comic generator. I'm like, Master Lord. I really didn't want to see him in Wonder Woman, but I think Pedro Pascal did a great job. I think Master Lord is a fucking useless character. I think Keith Giffen, rest in peace. You were the great one. You were one of the great ones. I might put you on my Mount Rushmore, but not for what you did with Justice League, son. I hated that book, and I think James Gunn likes that book. I think he's a fan, which is fine. I just don't have to watch that. I'm not going to knock it. I'm not going to dog it. But as long as you get me to Paradise Lost and I get a little bit of, Spartacus blood and sand action, and I get my True Detective, because I'm going to hold him to that. You give me Green Lantern, and you mentioned True Detective is one of the best things that any show has ever done. I'm looking forward to that. Swamp Thing. And he's getting the people that write the shit I like Tom King. There's no other writer I want on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I mean, and he's in the office. He's in the picture. So there's a lot to look forward to. I just hope we get there. And I say, I hate to sound like the pessimist. I'm not. We've been through this before. And it's a very real possibility that we won't get to where we're supposed to be going. And there's evidence. There's more evidence that we won't get to where we're going than there is that we will. So it's a coin toss.
Well, speaking of that, because again, before my internet, well, it has fight scenes akin to the Raid. But I did want to also, you jump a little bit now from DC to Marvel. We also got some rumor news, however you want to classify it, regarding Daredevil Born Again, and specifically that we might. It seems, according to reporting, that Mr. Foggy Nelson and Miss Karen Page, will be. They were not going to be in the initial version.
Wait a minute. When did this go down?
Thank God. I saw this today.
Let me pull it up.
You can have it up with a message.
Well, I'm gonna make a video about it later.
I thought you saw it.
No,
they're back.
I've been dealing with my missing Ultimate fucking Spider-Man number 1 all day.
That's right.
That's what I've been doing all day.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up.
I have something to say tomorrow night, boy.
Now I will
chasing down comics.
I will say the source behind this is maybe not the best regarded, but I mean, but it does.
Anywhere else though? Has it been mentioned anywhere else?
Well, it's getting reported like crazy, and so it does seem to be.
It's all over everywhere.
It seems to be like the writing's on the wall.
But I think that wasn't it.
Is it Deborah Wall? Is it Deborah Ann Wall?
Wasn't it?
Yes,
Snyder?
Deborah Wall.
Wasn't Snyder?
Not Zack Snyder. Dan Snyder or whatever that.
He reported it.
He's still Washington. He's still in the Redskins. Not that guy.
No, not that guy either.
Here we go.
But everyone's been reporting it. I think RPK is even reporting it as well.
Okay, so all right, this is great.
Yeah, well, and of course, it lines up with the whole thing about they're doing basically a page 1 rewrite. They're trying to take it closer to the Netflix show, and they were not going to be Eldon Henson and Rambo were not going to be. Yes, it does. It makes me happy too.
Even if he's not going to be the porn star that
there we go. Jeff Snyder was his name. Yeah, but look, I watched Echo, and as I said in my tweet, it wasn't a complete waste of time. The scene with Daredevil and everything with the Kingpin, I liked. Everything else was kind of like I just didn't care. But the amount of violence, like the level of violence, I should say, that was in that, I think lends towards like a Daredevil show that would be closer to what we got in Netflix. So I'm hoping that they do that. because it has to be a little more violent, a little darker. But overall, though, like I'm happy to see that these two are going to come back. They needed to come back to begin with, and like to hear rumors that Daredevil Born Again was going to start off with what I think with these two and not even going to be in the show. It was like, what's going on?
Yeah, there was it was really. I mean, it's kind of like what William was saying earlier about like every exec or every like captain of ship thinks it's like I've got the best plan. I'm going to implement it the best way. And this is, Daredevil Born Again was going to be Kevin Feige taking over from Jeff Loeb, and the Netflix people saying, yeah, this is going to be my Daredevil. I'm going to put my stamp on it. Then I guess they got a little ways into Born Again. They said, and between that and the mixed post Endgame reception of the MCU, said, okay, we need to kind of go back to the drawing board, and here we are for that.
Give Kevin Feige credit. Like I said the other night, he has evolved from the position of, if I didn't make it, I don't want it in my universe. He has evolved. A lot of people stick to that and they will never change. He has completely, or for the most part, on this issue, transformed. And I give him all the credit in the world. And see, that's the difference. Good management and bad management. If you have to be willing and able to evolve upon something, even no matter how much you believed in it a couple of years ago, if the situation changed, the atmosphere changed, you get a better look at things, change your mind, make the change. And he did that because remember, he was dead set against all this
which means that over at DC they're going to get a little bit into the scripts, decide this ain't working, they're going to restore the Snyderverse after that.
Oh, there it is.
Once again, that Brad don't listen. That Brad is the thoughts and opinions of Brad.
Are not indicative.
I don't want it restored. I want it resolved.
Well, and
resolved by these.
Well, and I made my feelings on where I stand on the whole matter. But that was me being facetious in case anyone couldn't tell.
Put it in a time capsule, and we'll come back to it when the time is right. And like I said, these people aren't aging. Selma Hayek.
Oh, sorry. Ruth said I had to get that in. And it wasn't about the raid, so give me credit.
Oh, but yeah, this thing with the Daredevil makes me happy. Like I said, the Daredevil. The only thing about it is, like I said, can we retcon and undo? Can Daredevil travel back? Not Daredevil, Deadpool. If Deadpool could do this, because Deadpool's a useless character to me. Sorry, guys, I can't stand it. The movies are stupid.
I'm looking forward to Deadpool 3. I think that's going to be a great film.
I will watch it here on Disney Plus. But
he's blue beetling Deadpool 3.
Yeah, if Deadpool could go back in time and find a way to undo the She-Hulk Daredevil appearance, I might become a Deadpool fan.
I honestly think that they're just going to ignore that and leave it as it was. Because when I saw that, I was like, "This is not the same Daredevil from Netflix."
Yeah, I think they're not gonna actively retcon that. They're just gonna kind of leave that as okay.
He had the gold suit on for that show, and
to be fair, I mean the design. I mean, I never thought they actually could do it. The yellow and red suit in live action and make it look. It actually made it look pretty good.
Phil Barker was saying on the Four Nerds, he was telling me, he goes, yeah. In the first episode, Daredevil says something that directly relates why he's wearing the red suit, and I didn't catch what it was. I was like, wait, where was that supposed to be at? Either way, I go ahead.
Well, Bob Barker. The reason why,
Bob Barker.
The reason why, in the comics, and I'm a nerd. The reason why he got rid of that suit is because the yellow showed up at night and the dark red didn't.
Yeah, he's trying to, he's like Batman. He's trying to blend in.
And he got rid of that costume. Like it was issue 6. He got rid of that costume.
Did you guys watch the show Echo?
I'm still getting started. I'm just getting started, and also because I kind of mentioned now I'm going to go through this faster than I usually do with a streaming show. But
it's only 6 or it's 5 episodes.
It's 5 episodes. Yeah.
How long are the episodes, Andre? How long are they?
An hour, 40 minutes or so.
Long show this time around.
Well, 45 minutes or so. But the first, I don't want to spoil anything. I don't think I'm really spoiling much. But the first episode is essentially just a recap of the ending of Hawkeye, but just about the character of Echo.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm just getting a long recap on this. I got it.
Because I'm not watching Hawkeye, and they don't want people watching that dreadful show.
And everything that involved, Daredevil or the Kingpin, those were the best aspects of the show. I thought the rest of it, they try to introduce new characters. The theme song or the intro, I skipped it every time. I thought it was annoying.
Yeah, Echo's not getting a lot of love in the comments also.
Well,
No,
yeah, it felt very unnecessary.
I know RJ's gonna love it.
They basically made sure to connect it to the What If show with that character that they created. But at the end of the day, it was kind of like I don't care. Like it just I don't know. There's parts of it that I liked, but a lot of it I just didn't. And you can tell they edited the hell out of that show. It was probably a longer series by a few episodes, but they lowered it down to 5 and just said, let's just get it over with.
Yeah, so I'll probably like be a little bit into next week when I finish it up because as I've mentioned a couple nights before, it's like whenever and this will be done faster, obviously because of the short nature of the show. But like any like when they had all the Marvel Netflix shows, it's like I never blasted through those in one weekend because it's like this is just a me thing. That's like I just like to kind of like take a journey when anything episodic. Yeah. So it's I don't do it like in one
I watched
sitting
all of them in 2 nights. I watched like the first 3, and then I watched the last 2 the next night.
Even Ruth is like getting in.
I know.
She-Hulk.
Ruth, to answer your question, I'm curious.
And Ruth never is like not
positive,
not kind. Yeah,
yeah. That's why when I read this, I was like, damn, even she's digging in. It was super cringe. It was like, what is happening right now?
They have met on several occasions. They are both lawyers, so there's been comic book stories where they've met as lawyers, where she wasn't, where she wasn't there as in her She-Hulk persona to like save the world. She was there because she's publicly acknowledged as a lawyer, but they weren't banging, they weren't doing all that stuff. There's a lot of people that are lawyers and that in comic that as their alter ego, and that's how they would meet. But they weren't banging it, and I don't remember it. She-Hulk is not the kind of character that if Frank Miller were still in control of the book. She-Hulk would resign before he let that happen. And that Daredevil that you see, Charlie Cox's Daredevil, is Frank Miller's Daredevil. That is Frank Miller's Daredevil. I can tell you, I read Frank Miller's Daredevil, and like I said, the stuff that Frank Miller was giving to us 12, 13, 14-year-olds, like I said, Karen Page is a porn star on heroin, getting banged by a bunch of guys, and they imply it. That book there was no TV.
Well, she's the one who ends up giving up his identity because she needs to get she needs to get more heroin.
Right.
And she's the reason why the Kingpin eventually finds out who he is, because she tells a drug dealer who tells, and it makes its way up to the Kingpin, and then he systematically destroys his life.
The drug dealer was beating the fuck out of her. That was a brutal comic. She was being abused all over the place.
Yes.
And like I said, I love the interaction. It's probably my favorite hero villain interaction, because Daredevil's not a hero per se. Daredevil's a sick fuck. And like I was telling you guys,
funny, the drug dealer she's with, his last name is Scorsese. I remember that. And he beats her up. He abuses her. He's mean. I was like, God damn.
He got taken care of, by the way.
He did. Yeah.
He was dealt with.
Pretty much nobody in the comments is liking the Daredevil She-Hulk romance.
Yeah, it was horrible.
And
like I was saying the other night, Daredevil's not a hero per se, because like I said, when Bullseye is in traction and in the hospital helpless, Daredevil's sitting by his bedside with a loaded gun with a bullet in it, playing Russian roulette. That's not a superhero. That's a dude in a costume. And Matt Murdock, if he's written right, he's like Batman. He's not okay. He's not a role model. He does people, and when he beats the Kingpin up, when he finally gets one over in the Kingpin, he torments and terrorizes the Kingpin. Visits him in jail. Said, "Hey, how's it? I love what you've done." Just fucking with him. Yeah. And there's nothing the Kingpin can do about it, because he can't prove that Daredevil was.
And by the way, William Andre mentioned he's got a dip in a second, but Andre, if you got time, Andre, before you take off, because I did want to ask real quick. I'm sure we'll probably keep discussing this a little bit more, but I did want to ask him, because the thought has crossed my mind. I'm sure a lot of other people, as far as the trajectory Born Again seems to be taking towards being essentially Daredevil season 4.
Mm-hmm.
And of course they put
named Bradley not having it all up in the head here. This is a horrible comment.
I don't think Elektra is going to be in the series.
Yeah. She's in a weird spot since the Defenders ended, but they put all the Netflix shows. They place them, within like, okay, here's like the timeline on Disney Plus of everything MCU. So of course they effectively canonize all of Marvel Netflix doing that. So I'm kind of wondering your thoughts on this, and really everybody's thoughts on this, with what they're doing with the Daredevil Born Again now. Punisher's also going to be in that. What does this mean for the other Netflix characters? Will we hear potentially news about, okay, they're coming back too in their own shows? Is Born Again maybe going to
I don't know.
Step that up?
I don't know if they're going to kind of bring back, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and all them. I think that throughout the Daredevil show, you might see some of them make cameos or, be referenced. But I don't know if they're going to bring all of them back because, not all those shows are really that great. Jessica Jones is all right. Luke Cage is all right. Iron Fist, I thought sucked.
Season 2, just go to season 2. That's all I have to say.
I'm just saying, like,
he's gonna die on this hill.
Yes, I will fucking die on this hill.
It was just kind of like, like, okay, cool. But I think that, if he needs help or he needs, I think that they'll make cameos within his series, but I don't think they're going to revive the Defenders and bring all them back for their own shows. I don't think so, but you never know. But I think what they're trying to do is this. I think that, Marvel reached, or the MCU reached a critical point where I think they had to look really hard in the mirror and figure out, what are we doing? Like, what is the overall narrative here, and what is the overall
thank you, Droga,
aesthetic of this the MCU? I think Loki did a great job at establishing that the MCU can still produce some really good content, but I think theatrically, that's where they need to put
season two.
They need to put their focus on their films theatrically because they failed lately, Yeah. And I think you got Deadpool 3, and then after Deadpool 3, the following year you're gonna have Captain America: Brave New World, the Thunderbolts. You're gonna have the Fantastic Four.
I don't need the Thunderbolts. Why would?
Yeah, I'm not feeling that either.
Well, the Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts is going to introduce the Sentry.
Why? Why? I don't need that character.
My only suspicion is that, and this was before the whole Jonathan Majors thing, really fucked everything up, was that I think that when you get to Secret Wars, the idea that I thought they were going for was that the TVA will be basically bringing together a multiversal Avengers team, kind of like the new Avengers.
Loki, which is ironic because Loki is the enemy that merged the Avengers.
But the new Avengers consists of characters like Wolverine, Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man. Now I don't think they're going to call them the new Avengers, but I think that's what they're kind of leaning towards.
Whatever they call it, it's a bad idea.
But that's what I think that they were going to do, and then they were all going to come together to fight off the Kang Dynasty. Now I think things are a little different. There's been talk about the Beyonder being the villain, but I think that if you make the Beyonder the villain of Secret Wars, I think he's more of a catalyst to building up your other characters, such as like perhaps Galactus or Doctor Doom within that storyline, because Doctor Doom gets even more powerful in the Secret Wars comic, in the original Secret Wars comic. He essentially absorbs the power of the Beyonder at one point. So I think there's potential to really build up Doctor Doom, but it'll be interesting to see where they go with Avengers 5 now that it's back to a working title. I think that, their main goal is these films have to hit. And I think that they're going to put less on Disney Plus and more emphasis on the.
But what good does that do if you're giving me clutter? Because what you just laid out, and I'm not saying that's your idea. That's clutter. Their problem.
It's a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit.
Well, and listen, guys. I mean, everything. Not to rain on the clutter conversation. Neither of you were putting this out. but I think all of this is moot anyway, because I mean, Harrison Ford, is in he's the new General Ross in Captain America Brave New World, or I think
Brave New World.
Yeah, so he's gonna, but now he's gone from General Ross, now he's President Ross, so it's like he's gonna be able to handle all the stuff single-handedly, because we all saw what happened the last time he was president.
Oh, Air Force One, get off my plane.
You built up to that. I
all right. Having said that,
all right, guys.
Man. Like, I gotta go because I have an early morning tomorrow. But of course, obviously, guys, thank you so much for having me on here. I love doing this every Friday.
Always a pleasure, man.
Subscribe to the Sci-Fi Center. Let's get the subscribers up on this channel.
Thank you for putting that out there after you poached and pimped some super chats from me.
And then obviously, if you guys would be so kind, subscribe to my channel as well. You can find me on YouTube on Nicotina. You can find me on Twitter at Nicotina_show, and on Instagram and Vero as well. So you guys, like I said, thank you so much. I should have a video up tomorrow talking about the whole Daredevil thing.
Sounds good.
But yeah, thank you guys.
Awesome. Always a pleasure. See you next week, man.
All right, see you next week.
All right, I just put his link in the thing so you guys can.
Yes, I had to. When you brought up Captain America, it's like I knew. It's like, oh, perfect opportunity.
No, I don't listen. This is look at everybody's leaving now. Andre's gone. But no, it's too much. It's just too much clutter when it comes to the Marvel. That's why I call it the MCU, the Marvel Clutter Universe. The Marvel Clutterverse. That's what it is to me. It's just too much stuff. Just get me to Fantastic Four. Get me to Spider-Man 4. Get me to the X-Men or the beginnings of the X-Men. Let's do that. I don't need Thunderbolts. I don't need none of this stuff. Really helps lead to that. It's a long road to get to some, to a place that you're just getting. Just cut to the chase. I don't need the Century in comics. I damn sure don't need to have him on thing. And you can consolidate the King storyline. Marvel, like I said, the problem I have with Marvel is just there's too much fat on the meat. Has to be cut away. So
yeah, and with DC, it's the opposite. We have to beg for the stuff we want to see.
Yeah. What's the game plan for tomorrow? Okay, so tomorrow or today, I am going to TNA, Total Nonstop Actions, Hard to Kill. That's here in Las Vegas at the Palms. That starts at like 4. Usually a pay-per-view goes about 3 or 4 hours. So that should put me out around 8 or 9. I'm not going to the meet and greet. I don't see any reason why I will not be on the air at 9 or 9:30. I don't see any reason. I mean, the Palms is not that far away from the center. I haven't decided where I'm going to do the show from. I might just come straight here and do the show instead of being out all night, or I might just go straight from I'm in the middle between the Palms and all that. So there will definitely be a Saturday Overnight Live. The comic book topic is we are going to go over the Rebel Moon. It'll be a digital copy because I'm out. And we'll go over that. I wouldn't. Anytime we do a comic review, by the way, it will be the digital comic because I'm tired of holding up the page to the screen. So we're gonna do that tomorrow. Our movie or musical topic is everything else.
And
Sunday, I don't know. I may be going to Snake Eyes, which is a part 2 of the pay-per-view. But either way, no matter what, we are still going to do a Sunday night stream at 10:30, no matter where I'm at, because that won't last that long.
Well, sounds good. And speaking of Snake Eyes, Aaron says, I'm watching Snake Eyes on TV here for the first time, and I didn't know the Raid Zico Oasis is in this movie. Yes, and of course, Ruth has shared her love of the Raid. She recently got started on, and so many people in the chat did because of me. Not to toot my own horn, and of course, we got there's also the 4K coming off that, which is probably not related to me, but it's like, I'm totally gonna assume that they decided to do that because of our streams. So as I said to Ray or to Aaron on Twitter, with all this goodness around the Raid, just enveloping us lately, there's just only one takeaway you could possibly have of that, and that, of course, is this.
I have to reduce your admin controls. Spider-Man, Army of the Dead was always going to be next week.
Yeah, because of the wrestling that's making.
I already had tickets to this for a while, and I knew I was going to be for the most part unavailable. this weekend. So yeah, Army of the Dead is next week, 2 p.m. I'll make the thumbnail and everything about it, and we'll make the link, and hopefully we can reach $8,000.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I think probably it's going to be a lot of fun with that. Now retroactively, kind of looking at Army of the Dead and seeing like what seeds it might plant for Rebel Moon and the overall like Zack Snyder universe that's on Netflix that envelops those two properties, and also things like Twilight of the Gods, which we're still hoping to hear some news about.
I may be on Film Junkie next Friday. I was invited tonight, but I was too busy chasing around my comics and trying to figure out how to get the stuff that I'm not going to be getting from my original source. So and plus I had to work. So I'm going to try to get on Film Junkie, and that's the day before the Army of the Dead, and I want to run on there to promote that. So that's it, guys.
And Drogas and you had me and then you lost me, man. Which I always say, season 1, season 2, perfect. Okay, so go for that. But you lost me there on the raid, man. But then Daniel says I'm the global ambassador of the raid franchise.
Yeah, lying. My goodness.
It's listen. It's like I brought it up a couple times. He said, "Okay, finally, we're doing a watch party for this on New Year's Eve," and it's like it took off, and I got people started on it. It's a 4K now. It's perfect. It's all because of me. I did it.
All right. Well, that puts it at well over 90 minutes. Okay, so yeah, we got to go. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow at some point in time, probably in the 9:30ish area, depending on how long the pay-per-view goes. I will be taking pictures and posting from the pay-per-view as much as I possibly can.
Is this the first one you've done, or that's the first AEW that's been in Vegas that you've been to?
No, this is the first TNA one that I've been to.
Okay.
I did AEW. I've been to WWE when they've come here. I've been to New Japan. I've been to Ring of Honor. This is the last major wrestling federation that I have never seen live. Once I see them live, I've seen pretty much all the major ones live. And so, all right, I will see you guys later on this evening. Keep on my Instagram and stuff like that. So you'll probably get a good beat on where I'm going to be later on in the evening, because I'm going to post a crap ton of pictures once I get there. So, Brad,
Ruth says, "Have fun tomorrow night."
Yeah.
You guys, of course, can find me on Twitter and Vero. You can check out. You'll also see me here or there on Facebook. You can go check out all my awesome writing about everything we chat about here on both Kung Fu Kingdom and on Screen Rant. And you can see me here on the Sci-Fi Center. Whether it's breaking down all this great Marvel and DC stuff, or preparing for Army of the Dead's our watch party next week.
All right, and on that watch party note, just keep it going. Just keep it going. Keep it out there. Circulate. And if you're not doing it with 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline 24/7 call, text, chat, there are other ways, believe it or not. This is just the easiest one for me to plaster up on the screen, but there are other ways to get people to the next day. Acknowledging that they're going through something, either by email, a chat, or a phone call, or walking up to them and say, "Hey, if you need anything, let me know." Like I said, a good portion of the downward spiral is people are going through these things and they don't think anybody cares. That's what makes the disconnect between them and the world that they're in and the world that they're just trying to escape to, because they don't think they're going to be missed. They don't think what they're going through matters. Nobody will ever understand what's going on. And this 988 puts them in touch with people that will refute that immediately. But just the fact that you walking up when you see somebody going through something, they're not themselves. "Hey, what's going on, dude? Everything okay? I noticed you haven't been yourself lately." Even if they don't respond, trust me, the light bulb in their head that I'm not meaningless, I'm not unnoticed, that literally may be the difference between life or death. And that's not an exaggeration. Yeah. All right, guys. I'm starting to fade. Damn, Nicotina beat me out of there to the bed. So Brad doesn't sleep. So we will see you guys tomorrow evening at some point. I'll keep you posted on the community channel when and where.
All right, later, guys.